beautiful tribe. I hope that you're having a great day today. It is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. And we are finally moving out of that direct Mercury retrograde into the post-shadow, which is going to last until September 11th. But we still have this big tsunami wave of energy that's still flowing in and will continue to flow in until September 2nd. And I know that you are feeling it on many levels. The energy over the past weekend has been quite wild and interesting. Many people experiencing feelings and not knowing what's wrong, feeling something's wrong, anxiety mainly. A lot of that going on over the past weekend with these heavy energies and all these different things flowing into our planet. You may recall in my past predictions around leaders, whether they be political leaders or CEO heads of companies, that I stated that we were going to see arrests taking place. Some shocking arrests when it comes to CEOs, political heads, and not only that, those dropping out of power, of course, and some being taken out completely in many different forms, if you know what I mean. And now we have this, over the weekend, we saw this very controversial arrest of the CEO of Telegram platform. No coincidences there. Will they be coming for Elon Musk next? Maybe. Why aren't they taking Zuckerberg in? There's lots of things that they could take him in on. So maybe Musk and Trump together. Maybe they'll arrest both of them. You know, there's a lot of people out there who would love to see that because they're so unplugged from the truth. We also saw two predictions wrapped up in one coming into fruition in Italy. I stated that we would see drownings and boating accidents. The CEO of Morgan Stanley was unalived, allegedly, when his yacht flipped over from a water spout in severe weather, allegedly. And water events, are they still on the horizon? And are we going to see more? And what really happened with the guy on the yacht from Morgan Stanley? What's the truth behind that? China is awfully brave and getting very aggressive. And over the weekend, China had a bit of a standoff with the Philippines after two vessels collided and China acted like bullies, continuing to ram Filipino vessels. China's not only did that just recently, and this isn't in my notes, it's later in my notes actually, that just yesterday, the aggression began again in Japan when Chinese spy planes flew into Japan's territory. Also bringing one of my visions into fruition where I saw people, military in Japan, scattering into their airplanes, to their fighter crafts. That's exactly what happened yesterday in Japan. China is a big threat, friends, a huge threat, as you already know, and they're getting more and more aggressive. But Spirit says that's not all. They're getting actually very desperate for many reasons, according to Spirit. And soon we're going to be hearing a lot about China. A whole lot, more than we already are, as they begin to bully many others to the point of conflict and, of course, military exchange. Did you see that now the Harris campaign is offering you, or me actually, $150? All I got to do is go on a website, fill out a form, and come on social media and promote the Harris campaign, and they'll send me $150. Providers, doesn't that sound a bit illegal to you? I mean, I'm sure they found a loophole around it, but imagine if opposing sides were to do that and do such a thing. You'd be hearing that all over the media. That's all the media would be talking about. Where's the fairness in our systems today? There seems to be no fairness. And remember her promise? You can be unburdened by that and which can be, or whatever she says. Do you know where that statement actually comes from? Do you know what it actually means? When you go down the rabbit hole of truth, it's quite shocking the information that you find. I'm going to share that with you today, but not even that one. The newest one that you're seeing all over the mass media, of course, is joy, joy, joy. Yes, joy. Strength through joy is what they say. You will be even more shocked when you discover where that slogan originated and the whole joy campaign. Quite disturbing, to say the least. We just also had, which disturbs me, JFK step out of the race. I was really liking that guy. Now he steps out, which I knew we figured he wouldn't go far anyway, because there never has been an independent and never will be an independent to take over that White House. It will be a new party that does so in the future. I'll touch base on that today, and it touches on a past prediction that Spirit told us a while back, that it would be a new party that would make the changes in the future. But that new party has yet to arise, so when is it going to arise? Soon? Well, not before this election. And we all know, they're pushing now to allow the people who have crossed our borders illegally to be able to fill out ballots. And we have this whole paper ballot thing being pushed once again. I'm sorry, to me, you have to show up. You should show up. You should have your ID scanned. Paper ballots, we know what those did and who they benefited back in 2019. So are they going to get away with that again? Is that going to happen all over again? We're going to have a repeat? And what happened to RFK Jr.? Why did he leave? Was he pushed out? Or did he know the common sense that they weren't going to let him win anyway? And maybe because they wouldn't give him Secret Service protection, that he feared for his life, especially after what happened to DT and the attempt on his life. I think it takes a lot of guts for RFK Jr. to say all the things he said without the proper amount of protection. So I made several predictions around the medical advancements, the medical field, and technologies that would get better and better when it comes to the realm of healing. And again, the medical system. Researchers just came up with an amazing invention for chronic wounds that I got to share with you today, along with what other technologies lie in our not far off future. I made several predictions revolved around fear attacks on the innocent, always on the innocent, of course. That's why they're fear attacks. And it was just within the past month that I saw more knife-related attacks coming. It was actually right after the one in UK 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks, however long ago that was. Time flies. It was right after that I stated that we were going to see more of these, and I still put out my warning to avoid crowds, especially festivals, town festivals, music festivals, carnivals, fairs, and so forth. And unfortunately, very unfortunate, over the weekend, we sadly witnessed another senseless attack on the innocent. This time, it was in Germany. During a big festival, some town festival in Germany. So could there be more coming in the future? Well, obviously there will be. You don't need to be psychic to figure that one out. But where? And where could these perhaps occur? We're going to, of course, cover that today. And Spirit warned of water events, floods, and even, drownings, and just the whole focus on the element of water throughout this year. Earth, water, but mainly water. And we went into that time zone, that cycle, again, where Spirit kept warning about water and major waters and tsunamis and so forth. We haven't seen the tsunamis yet. Hopefully we won't, but it's inevitable that we will. Floods are now hitting globally, and I had visions of floods in Tokyo, if you remember, just within earlier this month. And we saw that big typhoon that was heading there a week or two ago. And I figured that's why I'm seeing these flooded streets. It's that typhoon, but it wasn't that typhoon. It was something that whipped across right after the typhoon that caused major flooding in Tokyo, just as I predicted. And even here in Arizona, the Grand Canyon swept a woman away from the waters. And I told you we would see that, drownings and things from water. The hurricane that just hit Hawaii, barely, but it still hit Hawaii and caused lots of damage. And then we had the volcano eruption predicted for Iceland that just occurred. A new eruption in Iceland, different volcano. And now we also see all these volcanoes near Greece and Italy that are beginning to flare up. 24 of them to be exact. A little plain right there near Italy that many people don't talk about. This whole area of major volcanoes that is now beginning to get a little bit of an uptick of activity. What does this mean for our friends down there? Because if you remember in my last weather prediction video, I pointed directly to that area. I didn't know nothing about those islands being there. This is all new to me. And I pointed right to that area on the map and warned Italy and those areas of Greece and the islands and everything in that area. So what's going on? Because the world seems to be in store for a lot when it comes to weather, earthquakes, and eruptions, for sure. More than we can handle, that's for sure. So we have so much to cover today, including rocket fuel in your food, But what food and how to avoid it specifically? It's pretty simple to avoid, actually, depending on the case of your case. But for most, it's pretty simple to avoid. And Spirit will give us tips on that today. Voluntary lockdowns in Massachusetts. Now, you think people are really going to voluntarily lock themselves down, or maybe they will due to the fear of the threat that's going on out there in Massachusetts, New York, all connected to that creepy little bloodsucker, the mosquito. Something else that Spirit warned about a couple years ago when Gates and friends started dumping out all those mosquitoes all over Florida and other places. Remember that warning? Spirit, yeah, well, that's all happening right now, friends. All this and a lot more on this episode number 132 of Tuesday's Prediction Update. And friends and tribe, you all know what time it is.
It's Tittle Tea Time, baby.
Beautiful tribe, once again, I hope you're having an amazing day on this 27th day of August as things begin to come to a close for the month of August. There's still many days left in August and things can go out with a bang. And I also have a warning for Japan today. And the date to 29th, you know about those 11 days, right? And if you don't, I'll fill you back in on that today. But first, I want to welcome you to my channel, back to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, and I welcome you with love and gratitude. If you are new here, and even if you're not, always check your subscription. But if you're new and you want to vibe with the tribe, hang out every Tuesday and other times during the week too with new content and predictions and prophecy. The most accurate ones you will find. So vibe with that tribe, smash that there subscribe, hit the bell, hit the all, so that you hopefully get notifications and know that I am here every Tuesday. Sometimes there's a glitch and it ends up on Wednesday. And actually, for some parts of the globe, it is Wednesday already. So happy Wednesday, wacky Wednesday to our friends on the other side of the globe when you are watching this. And those that are tuning in on Wednesday, again, happy wacky Wednesday. And this is still Tittle Tuesday when I'm recording this live from Sedona, Arizona. Recording it live, but you'll be watching the replay of it. So also down below in the description, you'll find all the links to my social media, including the Awaken Your Spirit Subscribe Star platform of supporters who help make this free content possible for everybody else. Along with those with their chat cash and all the other contributions that come in, I am so grateful and super duper blessed. And I thank you all for that. Again, with infinite love and gratitude. But also, you'll find the links to my social media down below. The free newsletter. And the newsletter will be going out soon for September. So if you want to have that all in writing for your astrology, numerology, and everything, and all the content I put out from the past month, check out the September newsletter. Sign up down below. You do have to confirm your email. You have to confirm, and you got to make sure you put the newsletter at josephtittle.com in your contact list so that you get it. Do not ever use that email to email us or email us through the newsletter because we're not going to see it. You can email me and contact me directly only in one place. That is my website, Joseph Tittel, Tittel.com, or make it easier, SpiritmanJT.com takes you to the same exact place. If you get contacted on any social media platform by someone that appears to be me with my name, I assure you it is not me. It is a scammer probably sitting in Nigeria or some other place in their daddy's basement or whatever trying to scam you out of money. They do it to me and they do it to anybody else that has a good following on social media, no matter what they do for social media content. They will try to trick you. They will try to get gift cards and money from you. That is not me. I will not contact you through there. You will only get contact directly from my website and from my office at josephtittle.com. Other than that, shall we move on with episode number 132
Of Tittle Tea Time, baby.
So finally, we are creeping out of that Mercury retrograde direct in Leo, and today being the last day, actually, hallelujah for that. But we do enter into the post-shadow of the Mercury retrograde beginning tomorrow, Wednesday the 28th. So, therefore, we're still going to be in that energy a little bit, still affecting everything until we get to September 11th, actually. September 11th is when the post-shadow comes to a close. And it'll probably come to a close with a big bang and something major happening on September 11th. So again, if you want to know about what September holds, be sure to check my September forecast and predictions that will be available before the first of the month. It'll be available in a couple days, so keep an eye out for that. Also, you're going to see that we should begin to experience the flow of communications improving quite a bit. Means we're stepping out of that direct retrograde energy of Mercury. And this is going to allow us to move forward with greater clarity and with more confidence. It's also a time for us to embrace our inner leaders, friends. Embrace your inner leader and finally let your voice be heard. Now is the time where, again, communications are opening up and getting much better, and a time where your voice needs to be heard and can be heard. Whereas previously, before going into the post-shadow, you're not being heard, so just keep to yourself. Remember, Spirit said that in the beginning of the month. On the 29th, we have Venus entering into Libra, which will bring more harmonious and balanced energies to your relationships, whether they be love relationships, family relationships, or friends, and so forth. A great time to seek harmony and foster new connections that uplift you and inspire you beginning on the 29th of August. And the month comes to a close, seeming to be a little bit more or much more quieter than I expected it to be. Especially being we are still lingering in that energy shift until September 2nd. The energy shift September 2nd, the post-shadow ends on September 11th. So even that first part of the September I would expect to be pretty intense. But I still expect August to go out with somewhat of a bang in many places and something globally as well. And remember to keep an eye out later this week for my September forecast and predictions. And also I have 2 separate channeled prediction videos that I already did. One's already edited. It goes out to my people on Subscribestar. Those supporters get to see everything first. So once I get it out to them, I will have it on YouTube likely Wednesday or Thursday of this week. And by Friday, I will have out the September forecast. So keep an eye out for that. Big time. And also, there's something else I was going to say, and now I don't remember what I was going to say. Darn. I have some tea. Maybe that'll bring my memory back. So we have the fall of leaders, friends. And you recall my predictions around leaders, and whether they be political leaders or whether they be company head CEOs. But what I did is I stated that we would see in spirit. I'm just the conduit from the spirits. Spirits told us that we would see many shocking arrests, and we did. Remember, we saw the arrest of DT. That was shocking, and we saw a lot of other arrests happening around the globe so far this year, which was in my 2024 world predictions. But Spirit kept telling us, and even in the last channel prediction video, that we will see many more arrests taking place, especially when we get into the year 2025. More like people being rounded up and arrested and thrown behind bars. Hopefully for positive reasons and not for negative reasons like we are seeing right now with the controversial arrest of the CEO of the Telegram platform. So will they be coming for Elon Musk next? Maybe they'll put Musk and Trump in the same cell together. Boy, I know a lot of people love to see them in the same jumpsuit in the same cell with each other, which won't ever happen. But I could see them taking Trump away again and then something happening and him coming out. So I could see them try. They're definitely trying. There's no doubt they are going to try to put that man behind bars. And you see that, what's his name, just reignited the paper, he had those secret papers or whatever. Same thing Biden had. You don't see Biden getting arrested. You don't see them indicting him on that. It's just so unfair the way the system's going right now, friends. It's so unfair. No matter what side, you got to look at it from a neutral standpoint. You know, you can't plug into the one side or the other side or the entire uniparty because remember, I always tell you, right wing, left wing, same bird, same little tweet. You have to look at it at a neutral. And there's good that is on both sides. But unfortunately, there's more bad, evil, and corruption on both sides. Especially one side over the other if you sit and watch from a neutral position. And again, it's the globalists, the elite, the richest families in the world that are really pulling all the strings. They are the puppeteers and always have been. So the APF reported that an arrest warrant had been issued for Pavel Durov. Did I say that right? Pavel Durov. As a result of an investigation into whether he failed to crack down on illegal activities, including drug, fearism, we call it fearism here, and fraud. and probably a list of other things too. But we do not see this happening daily on other platforms like X right now. Not yet, anyway. I'm sure we will. Or how about Facebook and Instagram, to say the least, who actually continue to allow people in foreign countries, and it doesn't matter what country they're in, really, but most of them are in foreign countries, who steal my profile pictures and my profile and my identity, along with many others, to commit fraud under our good names, trying to tarnish people's good names and identities, while Facebook and Instagram sit back and continue to allow this corruption to happen, because that's corruption and fraud. And they allow it to happen because I've had hundreds of followers report these profiles, and they still continue to have these profiles. And what they do is they go and change the pictures, change the name, and go do it to someone else, and then they'll come back to me and do it to me again. They get away with it. Why is Zuckerberg not being arrested? He suppressed all the stories back in 2019. This is all coming out, truth now, and he's trying to say, oh, he didn't know better. He knew damn right well what he was doing, friends. We're talking Zuckerberg here. The skin shedder. We'll call them the skin shedders from now on. So it blows my mind. And then we have X and Elon, in which the globalists seem to be against, when in reality, I've been telling you all along, I feel that he's a big part of government contracting. He wants to put chips in people's brains, friends. That's not positive. And the list goes on. The list goes on and on. But there is still no doubt that many are still going to try to destroy the platform X. Not only that, Rumble as well. That just popped in my head too, Rumble. Rumble is another one they're going to go after. I don't know who the owner of Rumble is. I'm sure someone will put it in the comments now that I just said that. So alongside, they're going to try to destroy, of course, X, alongside a Telegram. And these politicians claim that they're trying to save democracy, right? That's what they claim. When instead, they lie. And they know they are trying to destroy democracy and the America's republic and our freedoms, of course, starting with the freedom of speech. That's the one they've been going after for quite some time. Look what they did to Jones. A. Jones. I'm going to say the name because, I don't want anything else to put me deeper into the closet so that you can't find me. And remember to check your subscription. If you suddenly don't see me pop up in your notifications, go directly to my channel to make sure that you weren't mysteriously unsubscribed by the YT algorithms. So remember that I said that X would be attacked in the past. I told you that in past predictions. Big hack attacks and cyber attacks. And I predicted hackers would take down the platform multiple times, which they did do a few weeks ago when Musk, the Musk-Trump interview. We also see them going after the TikTok platform, all while Zuckerberg sleeps safe and soundly, knowing that he's part of the problem, and they ain't ever going to touch him. They'll bring him into the little congressional things, but he'll still weasel his way out. Always does, always does. Remember, Spirit said that platform in the future will definitely collapse, and the new platforms that go into place will be completely different than what we have now. Hopefully more on a positive level and on a way where we can express our speech and say what we want without being, negative or evil. So expect huge controversy to rise around all three of these platforms. Telegram, X, TikTok, and now actually 4, and Rumble as well. And actually 5, make it Truth Social too. Don't forget about Truth Social platform, because we already know the globalists were set to make over $600 million until their plan to take out Trump completely failed. Ha ha. They didn't make that money, but they were going to try. So now that that all happened, of course they're going to try to take down that platform too. And they tried by taking out Trump. That's how they tried to take down that platform. So all those platforms are at high risk, friends, starting with X being number 1, Rumble being number 2. Let's get ready to rumble. And then we got TikTok, and I don't even know if I would say TikTok's number 3. I'd say Truth Social's probably number 3. TikTok and Telegram. So I see visions of Musk fighting, arguing or speaking at congressional hearings or some other type of hearings. And I see this for all the CEOs of these platforms. So you're going to see lots of them, trying to fight and defend themselves as the globalists continue to work hard to rig their systems of voting, of course, while stripping away your ability to speak up, friends, and to speak out. Speak up, speak out, speak it all. So this is all part of the awakening of humanity, as much as it may not look that way, and a fight for each other, for your kids, your grandkids, and everything. That's what this is all about, friends. Because this has been happening since our grandparents were here. All of this has been happening on different levels. Remember, they didn't have social media like we do. But their suppression of speech and, being embarrassed in newspapers if you said the wrong thing, they would bring you down. This has been happening for generations. It's just now people are catching on to it, and the corruption just grew to a point of ridiculousness. Total ridiculousness. So it is part of the awakening. And remember, people can't all awaken at one time. It's got to be a slow process. And this process has been happening since 2012, and even more so when we hit 2020. But, remember the Aztec Mayan calendar and that whole thing with December 21st, 2012. That's what that was all about. That 26,000 year alignment of the planets. That's what they were talking about. That was us shifting out of one age and moving into the other, from the Pisces age to the Aquarian age. And what's Aquarian? All about pouring the dark masculine energy down into the light feminine energy to bring balance into our lives and onto our planet. Aquarians, if you know who Aquarius is, they're always looking for balance in situations. I have a friend that's Aquarius, and if someone cuts me off and I'm curse or something, they'll look at me and say, maybe they didn't see you. That's Aquarius for you. Always looking for a balance in a situation. And if you look back since 2012, look at all the dark masculine energy that's been poured out. A lot since then. And it's just going to get more and more, especially as we reach towards 2030. We also have two predictions wrapped up in one that just came into fruition in Italy. I stated that we would see drownings and boating accidents, as you know. And of course, CEOs and such dropping or being taken out. It was the CEO of Morgan Stanley. I forget what his name is. I didn't put it in my notes, but doesn't matter anyway. He was allegedly, he was allegedly unalived when his yacht flipped from the water spout. Which is really find interesting about this is how all the weather data completely disappeared. So you can't even verify that this actually even happened the way they tell us it happened. And I say alleged because we really don't know. Of course we don't know. Especially when it comes to these CEO billionaires or millionaires or whatever he was. Does this story sound familiar to you at all? Does it ring a bell? I'm gonna ring your bell. Ring your bell. The Titanic submarine incident that happened. Remember that? Yes. Remember I told you that I feel like that person was hiding? It wasn't the way they told us. The whole Titanic submarine imploding with the billionaire and his son. And now we have the same scenario out in the water with another billionaire, this time with their daughter. A little bit of balance there. One with their son, one with their daughter. Now missing. And I'd be willing to bet, and Spirit confirms, that they are very much still alive. Very much still alive. And then hiding for multiple reasons, a list of reasons that Spirit didn't give me. I want it, but Spirit didn't give them to me. Do you know, again, all the weather data went completely missing? Like, how does the weather data go missing? And you know what else? Does this ring another bell? Ring your bell. Sometimes I can't help myself. You remember the helicopter crash with the Iranian prez? And remember, it was a strange weather event, they said? And all that data disappeared? All that weather data disappeared. Friends, we don't believe in coincidences. Never believe in coincidences, because there is no such thing as coincidences. Now, I take you back to my New Year's 2024 prediction. Moving on to a different subject, but sort of the same. The dead will rise and come alive again. That's another thing that Spirit touches base on in my channel prediction video that will be premiering this week, either Wednesday or Thursday. Keep an eye out for that. Spirit goes into a little more detail about that prediction from January, or actually it was from December of 2023, because my supporters actually get to see my New Year's predictions in December, and they always premiere New Year's Day here and on other platforms. So we are approaching this time, friends, this time where we are going to see the dead rise and come alive again, just like Spirit told us back in December. Now, again, some predictions do take longer to come into fruition than others. Some things I say happen the next day or within the week before next week's show. And then some things take a few years to fall into place. And then we see also a lot of predictions that come together like a puzzle. That's the other thing. That could be something I said 2 years ago, links up with something I just said a month ago. It's kind of interesting. One day I'll hire a team of people and they can keep track of all my stuff. One day. Just not yet. I have a lot of, and I keep notes on everything. I keep everything on a hard drive. Separate hard drive. So this same message, again, repeated in my channel predictions, so don't forget to check that out. But people we once thought that have passed away, people that we thought once passed away are very much alive. And again, I'm not going to tell you now, I'm not going to do a spoiler alert here. Just listen to my channel prediction to get more information about that. One of the things that I bet, Spirit didn't name names, but gave us a good idea. And I bet one of them, as I've been saying all along, is Jeffrey Epstein. I'd be willing to bet. So are water events still on our horizon? Yes, of course they are, according to Spirit. Now and for at least the next 3 to 6 weeks. So in the whole year, really, but this intense period for the next 3 to 6 weeks, Spirit said. So please be very mindful, friends, if you're out swimming or you're in areas where flash floods can and will occur. Like if you're out here in Arizona hiking on a low level, like down in the Grand Canyon, like that terrible incident that happened. We witnessed the woman in Arizona that was swept away by these floods. And then we also witnessed the riptides here in North America and all over the globe in August, swallowing people or pulling people out into the oceans. Also, I tell you, friends, tell your young ones, tell the little ones, when it comes to jumping in swimming pools, especially jumping into swimming pools and off of diving boards. And even more importantly, when they're jumping into creeks, lakes, or rivers. And Spirit says right now it is best to completely avoid the rivers. So big advice from Spirit. It is very important to avoid swimming in the rivers right now. I don't know why, but do so. Not only that, when you're swimming in creeks and lakes, a lot of people don't realize when your kids go under and if water goes up their nose and there's bacteria, that has been known to unalive people. It gets into the brain, so you got to be really careful where you're going, where you're swimming. And not only that, just jumping in. I had a friend that jumped into the Delaware River when we were younger, and he never came back up and washed up on shores, miles down the river towards Philadelphia. And this happened in Bristol, Pennsylvania, at the Bristol Wharf. My friend jumped in and again never came back up. And I forget how old I was when I was like 19, 20 when that happened. Maybe even actually 17, 18. I might have been in high school. I can't remember. But I remember that happening. He was an amazing artist too. Amazing artist. Anyway, we're seeing that, and this warning goes out about swimming and just to be mindful, be careful. Keep an eye on your kids or be there with your kids. Don't even keep an eye. You need to be right there next to them. Because it only takes a split second for something to happen and then to go underwater and then you don't know where they're at. Just saying. I see some type of a diving board accident occurring. And I would say it would be at the Olympics, but the Olympics has already just ended, I believe. On the 22nd, I think it was. Or no, that was no, that wasn't that. That was the convention thingy that ended on the 22nd. So I don't know where it is, but again, it would be a story that would be big. And I see it appears to me that this diver hits their head because I see them flip the wrong way and go down the wrong way. And then I saw red in the water. So that's a vision that Spirit gave me this morning. Don't know what it is connected to all, but that's what Spirits showed me. Moving on to China and their aggression and the world conflict. China is getting very, very awfully brave, actually. Awfully brave, very aggressive. Over the weekend, China had a bit of a standoff in the Philippines after two vessels collided. And then China acted like bullies, continuing to ram the Philippine vessel. Not cool. Not cool at all. And remember my vision of the Japanese military scrambling for aircraft as if there was a huge threat? I said this not that long ago either. I warned our friends in Japan. I saw some types of, military action taking place. And this is exactly what just played out yesterday, as the Chinese aggression continued yesterday, when Japan claimed that Chinese military intelligence aircraft, does that sound familiar, friends? Aircraft, balloon, same thing. The key word is Chinese intelligence aircraft, made an unprecedented violation, according to Japanese people. That's what they're calling it, an unprecedented violation, by entering and violating Japanese airspace. Japanese fighter jets scrambled, just as I saw in my vision. I told you it was going to be a threat from China. I think that's definitely it, for sure. I mean, it's exactly how I saw it in my vision. And they got up in their jets to protect their country, as they should do and have the right to do. Thankfully, nobody fired. There was no fire exchange. And again, this was an intelligence aircraft, so I don't even think they have the ability to fire anything. Well, it's China. I wouldn't put anything past them. But, you know, we continue to see China violating protected airspace. We saw the Chinese air balloons over here in the United States. We saw the green lasers. Remember the green lasers that were being used over Hawaii right before the whole thing that happened at Lahaina? And that was by China. Their aggression with Taiwan, how about that? And now the Philippines and Japan. So who's next? China? Who's next? Who are you going to bully next? China is not only aggressive, they are getting very desperate, according to Spirit, for many reasons. Many reasons. And we will soon be hearing a lot more about China as they begin to bully many others to the point of conflict and military exchange. As I have been, of course, predicting for a long while now, they do plan to eventually invade 2 territories. Remember that vision? And I think that could have even been in my channel predictions definitely last year. One certainly, again, one of these 2 territories is going to be Taiwan. I even have a few friends that are like, why would they do that? They're all connected. I don't know why they do that, but they're going to do it. I don't have the answers to why, other than just their need to control it. And it all has to do with that chip. That's what Spirit said. It all has to do with those chips, those computer chips. Interesting. They want control. That's what China does, you know. They don't have patent system like we do. And, you know, somebody invents something here with a patent and they steal the patent and go and make it over there in China and nobody can do anything about it. You know, that's what they're notorious for, stealing all our technologies. That's what they do. It's not like they're coming up with all this stuff themselves. They steal it. They steal most of it. 95% Spirits just said in my left ear, right ear. I know which side's which. So an invasion of 2 territories. They will do what Russia did. They are literally sitting back and waiting for the perfect opportunity when the U.S. is too busy. And when the U.S. is too busy, you know, they can't do anything. So making a horrible decision to pull out, like they did with that. They made a horrible decision to pull out of Afghanistan. And what happened right after that? Putin made his move on to Ukraine. So something along those lines, where the United States is too busy. And here's what I feel like it's unfortunately likely going to be. It's going to be when the United States is too busy dealing with radical takeover by the globalists and civil unrest and martial law. That's all coming. It'll all settle down, and we have to hold all positive in the light, of course. But this is when I believe, without a doubt, that China will make its move. A huge move. Multiple attacks in the late night, early morning hours before the sun rises. Not only China and their aggression, and I hope for this global takeover, of course, Spirit shows me that they are once again messing with deadly pathogens and bugs. Of course they are. But why exactly? Well, I mean, there's really no answer to the why. Well, there's only one answer to the why. Like, why would you do that? Why would you mess with that stuff? So remember what Spirit told us a few years back. We would know, and the sign would be that they're going to test it on their own people and released on their own people. Sound familiar? Sound like 2020 a little bit? Or a whole lot? Because that's where it started first. It was October of 2019 that it hit in Wuhan, China. And then it went from there. And I wouldn't doubt that the next one is in the same town, in the same city in China. But China's got a lot going on, a lot of karma coming their way. Shows me the Spirits. Not only that, a big rift in the Asian continent. That's in one of my channel predictions that's coming out. So big earth changes happening there, and I see a splitting apart of China, separating into different states or unions, just like I see for United States. I hope this isn't what the globalists want. I hope it's not their agenda. But I predicted this many years ago, where I saw the United States being broken up into perhaps 4 different territories, or 4 to 5 different territories, and then combining with Canada and then Mexico. That would be a globalist thing. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And I do see China causing more issues and becoming the bullies of the East. Just beware. Beware, friends. Beware. Let's move on to a topic I really don't want to cover, but I have to because you all want to hear about it. Well, some of you all want to hear about it, and that's the United States and the electoral candidates or election candidates. And did you see now that the Harris campaign, as I told you earlier, is now offering, I should have did a screenshot of the website, I totally forgot. But they're now offering money up to $150 to be exact, to social media content providers who help promote her campaign. And as I said, is that even legal? I mean, it probably isn't, but there's a loophole, and they can get away with whatever they want, if you notice. So whatever these people want to do, they get away with. So imagine if the other side did that, or did such a thing, and was paying to promote them on social media. And maybe say the Trump team offers $200 instead and tries to beat them. Now, imagine what that would bring, and the controversy, and that'd be all over your mass media. Speaking of liars. And remember her promise, we can be unburdened by what can be. But do you know what that statement actually comes from? I went down that rabbit hole just a little bit. I didn't want to go too deep into it, but I'll give you a simple answer that it is found in several books that are written on Marxism. Yep. Marxism. Not good, friends. Not good. That's where that statement comes from. Look it up for yourself. Look it up. Go down that rabbit hole. Go deep down that rabbit hole. But there's an even deeper one to go down. Because personally, I feel, again, as I've always said, they're all corrupt. Left wing, right wing, same bird. And there is good there, too. I believe there's good in both sides, but there's mainly corruption that's ran by the richest families and the big bankers. I currently don't have a favorite, so don't ask. I don't have a favorite. I don't like any of our options here in the United States, period. But I would say that they just threw JB out, right? They just threw him completely out. They put her in place without any votes or anybody having any say or any legitimacy. We all know now that JB was never running America to begin with. We know one of them was Obama for sure. And you can be assured that either, Harris, if she goes into the White House, she will not be running it. It'll be the same people that are running it right now. And it's not Biden. And it's not even his friends anymore. Excuse me, because Biden's very bitter, and he should be. That's the feeling I get. And I feel like he's on his deathbed or already gone. I don't know when they're going to tell us he's gone, but they will eventually when it fits their agenda perfectly. Because I told you, they're going to want to put her into power before to show, look, she can do it. She's doing a great job. And then something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Major things are going to happen. I feel like, again, that these elections are going to be delayed in some form. Remember, Spirit said that back in 2024 World Predictions that I put out in December. Delays and some kind of huge event causing that to occur, and that we wouldn't see results, or the true results. Maybe it's the true results till January. I remember my channel predictions where I saw a pancake flipping. And that's after the election, the pancake flips. So then we're going to believe one person wins, and then at some point it flips. And it'll probably be, of course, they'll try to flip it back. Probably Trump will win, and they'll probably try to flip it back to the other candidate, which I still can't see it being Kamala. I don't know why. I just don't see that in my vision. I don't see any vision of her pertaining to that. That's why I feel like something's going to happen. Something huge, something big. This could even be where my visions of martial law come in. Could be related to that. So I just pray that none of this is the case, and holding the light, that everything works out. But here's another even more concerning one, is their newest push And I'm all about joy and happiness, friends. Abundance, joy, and happiness. I say it all the time. That's what we're here in this life to achieve. Besides the lessons we need to learn, we're here to achieve that level of abundance. Abundance, joy, and happiness. A level that most people don't believe exists, but it does. And we're all meant to get to that level. Eventually, the Earth's going to shift, and we're going to be there no matter what. Those that enter the new Earth are going to be on that high level of high vibration. But the whole joy thing and strength through joy, check it out.
We are joyful warriors. Being joyful is part of the American identity.
The joy factor campaign of joy.
You're talking about radical joy.
It is downright joyful.
It looks like a joyous rally. It looks like a joyous occasion.
A real zeal and joy in the campaign.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country.
Joyful, exuberant rally.
Thank you for bringing back the joy.
Power of joy.
Hope and joy.
Something incredibly joyful.
She does it all with a sense of joy.
Joy. Joy.
Joy.
Joy.
Joy.
Joy. Joy.
Joy.
Joy.
Joy.
Joy.
Imagine that. American politics.
Yeah, American politics are really joyful. Not. You'll be shocked when you discover where this slogan comes from. This whole joy thing originated in strength through joy. Many of you probably already saw it somewhere on social media because everybody that knows about it's talking about it. It was a huge campaign that happened back in Germany, friends, during the second global conflict, without being too specific. And you can see right here, strength through joy. This is where this campaign and the whole joy campaign came from. And I wanted to show you a short 5-minute clip about it, but I decided not to. Because like I said, I don't want to be put further back in the closets. But I will show you this little clip. Check it out. George Bush's peeps just totally endorsed Harris. Bush, a Republican, kind of interesting. But I also remind you that Bush and a lot of his friends are members of the Skull and Crossbones Not-So-Secret Society. Just like, again, many of his friends. And he's the guy that screamed once upon a time, weapons of mass destruction. And responsible for taking so many people off this planet and very based on lies and deceit, so much more. It took us into an 18-year conflict, right? Is that someone you can trust? Definitely not. I certainly do not trust any of them by any means, especially now. And remember what Daddy Bush was, old man Bush. He's the one that stood there and ruthlessly stated that him and his friends at the United Nations were about to instill the NWO, the New World thing, you know what I'm talking about. And another thing, Tim Waltz, I don't know much about him, but one thing I do know about him is that he was the one that put out that whole campaign in 2020 to call and turn in your neighbors. Turn in your neighbors if they're not wearing the mask. Turn in your neighbors if they're doing something wrong. Sounds like communism to me, friends. And remember what Spirit told us about future political parties. Remember that? Spirit said that the new party would rise. A new party would arise in the future, and this would be the party that breaks apart the two uniparties and when good flows back into the political system. I know it doesn't look possible, but Spirit told us that a while back. I thought maybe it would have been this election. That was hopeful. I'm kind of thinking it's more towards the latter part of this century. 2032 elections, most likely. So not only that, it's because, again, it's not happening this election. Spirit says, first, we must learn firsthand of the corruption and the harm that has been happening for decades to Americans, generations, and to all humans throughout the globe. That needs to be identified first. The corruption needs to fall before the new can be built on that land, metaphorically speaking, of course. And Spirit reminds us that oftentimes we must go through these really, really challenging times before we witness good that comes out of it. And good will come in the future, no doubt about it. After all these times, in this time of trials and tribulations that we're only just entering into. So we've only just really entered into this, friends. So you can only imagine the intensity that's coming. That's why I always say, don't be scared. Embrace it, meditate, stay connected to the earth, your spirituality, eat healthy, and have food and water in case anything happens. Whatever you can have. I have at least a 30-day food supply of just emergency food. You should have the same or more if you can. So we had RFK Jr. step out of the race, and now he's back in DT. And I was really trying to hold hope for RFK Jr. I wanted to see an independent take it for once, even though we know an independent never, ever won. And as far as the globalists are concerned, they never, ever will. That's going to change in the future when we come up with these new parties that form. I don't know what these parties are going to be, but Spirit says they haven't formed yet, which I believe is going to be the 2032 elections when everything is quite different and we're pretty much entering to the period of the new earth. I liked a lot of what Kennedy had to say. That's just me personally. I don't need to know what you want to say about anybody that's negative. I don't leave the comments alone. I'm just telling you my feelings and sharing that with you. So don't tell people in the comments who they need to vote for, or not even in the comments. In life, don't tell people who they need to vote for. Just allow folks to figure things out on their own, because they will one way or another. They might even look back and regret people they voted for in the future. But they have to learn on their own, friends. They have to learn on their own. And not only that, when you think of like little kids, when you tell them not to do something, the first thing they do is, do it. So if you tell somebody not to vote for someone, the first thing you're going to do is go vote for them. Just keep it to yourself, friends. If you're going to enter into that, just keep it to yourself. And I think Election Day is probably a Tuesday, which means I won't be leaving anyway. So we are also seeing a push to allegedly give the illegals the right to vote. And once again, they're passing out those paper ballots, friends. And we all know what those paper ballots did in the past. And not only that, they think that, many reasons, they think that they tell you that this is going to bring down democracy. Well, the way to bring down democracy is exactly what they have done. Let the floodgates open and let all these people in. Let all these people in, put out paper ballots, take control, and let the globalists take over and get their NWO that old man Bush talked about decades ago. That's the goal, part of the goal of the agenda. They will lose in the end. Remember, that web of darkness is dismantling, and we will spin the web of light. We all know that those, paper ballots, what they did back in 2019. So are they going to get away with it again? Well, they're sure going to try, Spirit says, and they already are. And I call it the mirror effect. So learn the mirror effect, friends, because not a lot, but people do this, especially narcissists. The mirror effect is what I deemed it. And this is when people say things or make claims about another person or about other people when they are literally reflecting themselves onto somebody else. I know a narcissist right across the street from me that does that. Will say that you did all this stuff that she actually did. That's what they do. They reflect onto others to take your attention away from them, to make the other person look like they're the dictator or whatever. That's what they do. That's what narcissists do, especially. Maybe it's a severe disease of narcissism spreading in the political field. Probably is. So that's what they do, though. They reflect things onto others, the mirror effect. So remember that, and don't take it personal when people try to do that to you. Just ignore it, walk away. Again, I said I experienced it. They reflect right on over what they're doing to you and make you look like the bad person. Don't just, again, things affect us when we allow it to. Just don't allow it to bother you. I know sometimes it's a challenge and easier said than done. So how many times have they called DT, that German surname? I'm not going to say it, but you know that German surname. And they claim that he's a dictator. Could that be the mirror effect? Who's using the slogan, joy, joy, joy? And strength through joy. And we cannot be unburdened by what has been. That Marxist statement. Just saying, friends. I'm just saying I'm here to spread truth. I'm here to spread the prophecies when need be, and predictions, of course, always. But we have to address these things. It's part of the awakening. And I encourage you all to do your own research and get out there and do what makes you feel joyful. Joy, 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 friends. Let's move on to the medical and technology advancements. That's joyful. I made several predictions around medical advancements and technologies just getting better and better when it comes to the realm of healing. Researchers just came up with an amazing invention for chronic wounds that I just had to share with you all today because one of our tribe members shared it with me in the comments. So thank you for sharing that in the comments. I don't remember who shared it, but thank you. And this is what they shared. Researchers have invented a bandage for chronic wounds that relies on electric stimulation. The bandage facilitates healing faster than conventional bandages, according to the animal study published in Science Advances. So a Band-Aid that heals you quicker. Almost is like some of those space shows, right? Where they put the laser over the wound and it seals it right up. We'll have stuff like that. They probably already do. They just haven't let us have it yet. But we will have those stuff. And remember all the patents that our government hides, the secret patents and the people they took out that invented those patents so that they wouldn't speak. We're going to see them coming to the surface eventually, too. That's what we need, a president to go in and say, hey, we're going to release this, period. And you're not going to stop these people from using it. That's what needs to happen. But Spirit says it's not going to happen just that way, exactly that way. So this is just the beginning of the amazing technologies and advances heading our way in the near future. More so when we step fully into the new Earth nation. So Spirit provides more details on this future of healing in my next 2 channeled prediction messages. So again, one's going to premiere sometime this week and the other one will premiere on Sunday evening. So mark those times on your calendar. I have 3 different videos that will premiere this week besides this. The September forecast and predictions and 2 separate channeled prediction videos. And one's going to be, again, on Monday, September 1st, will be the channeled one. I'll have the September forecast out before that. Let's move on to the fear-based attacks, because I made several predictions revolved around fear attacks on the innocent, as always. And it was just within the past month that I saw more knife-related attacks coming. It was right after the one that happened in the UK, when I stated that we're going to see that more and more with the knife thing, because they don't have pow-pows there. I also warned to avoid crowds. Multiple times I said avoid crowds, right? Town festivals, music festivals, especially music festivals, carnivals and fairs. And look at the threat at the Taylor Hicks concert that she had to stop. Luckily, they caught on to that, or that could have been a terrible thing. So over the weekend, we sadly saw another senseless attack on the innocent. This time it was in Germany during a town festival. Prayers to all those victims and their families after that attack in Germany. And this brings up a really good point. Because here in America, the globalists have been trying very hard to attack our constitutional rights, especially when it comes to carrying arms. We're like the only country that allows that freedom still, the way we do anyway. Using pow-pow events and mass pow-pow events as a way of literally driving Americans into a fear state. That is their goal, so that can get them to agree in the future to give up their arms. Oh, you'll be safer. Look what they did this in all these other countries, and look what's happening right now, friends. Look what's happening. You know, take your guns, take your freedom, take everything. You can't fight back, and that's what's in our Constitution, and that's what our ancestors that wrote that Constitution said specifically. No, you are not. Do not give up your rights to arms. Which will never happen in America, by the way. That's just not happening. And the only way that would happen is if when the world shifts into the new dimension, it won't be a big deal because people won't be doing that anymore because we will all be in that level and high vibration of happiness. That's what matters, the golden age. So it is people. It's not the pow-pow that commit such atrocities upon our innocent people. It's the people that do that, friends. It's the people who are the ones that have made their minds up to commit such atrocities. And they will use any means, when they make up their mind, they will use any means possible to commit some type of an attack. And we should be more focused on the drug epidemic and mental illness instead of trying to de-weaponize people, when people could still grab any sharp object or get in an automobile or any other kind of crazy means, because people are crazy sometimes. A lot of times, but you get it. So could there be more attacks coming in the near future, and perhaps where could these occur? Well, obviously, no matter where, what, where, when, or why, we're going to continue to witness these senseless attacks and these senseless acts. And unfortunately, we're going to see the return of the terror alert meter. Remember the terror alert meter back in, when was that? Early 2000s, and they would put it on the news every night and they show, oh, the terror alert is in the red and it's in the orange. Remember that? I saw something like that, them trying to push something like that again in the future. So I don't know where, what country, but that's what I saw. And I do not know why, other than being large amounts of people gathering in joy, of course. Large amount of people gathering in joy. That would be why. But I strongly feel that we are going to see more attacks, whether they be with sharp objects, arms, vehicles, and things that go boom. That's another one, things that go boom. And we are going to see these mostly around festivals and celebrations. So concerts, concert halls, stadiums, and outdoor festivals. October jumps out at me very, very strongly, as it has been for a while. Remember, Spirit said April, August, October, December. So, lots of things happening still to come. But October jumped out at me very, very strongly when I was doing the notes on this information here about fear attacks. So I would say October strongly is a time window where we're going to witness many more occurring simultaneously in several countries. I remember this reminds me of something, actually, of when I said that there would be multiple things happening simultaneously in different countries, most likely United States, France, and allied countries all at once. It could be related to that because that just came to mind. I see some type of fear attacks occurring throughout Iran, including another knife incident that makes its rounds on mass media. In turn, it is inevitable that we're also going to see the same in Israel, and the tensions unleash more horrors, including some type of a secret attack like that one that we saw in Israel in October of 2023, which I predicted before it happened, and the shadiness around it before it happened, which is how we knew what really, really happened. I also see something happening, as I may have stated in the past, around a Muslim holiday and celebration. This includes, again, things that go boom. I would think towards the end of this year, I don't know what their holidays are. I know that December is going to be a big month. And I feel like December is a month. Remember, Spirit told us we would see mass amounts of people exiting their soul contracts. I feel like we'll begin to see that in December on some smaller level before moving into 2025. And Spirit's showing me that now. Beware Russia, says the Spirits. Beware Russia. Beware, says the Spirits to our Russian friends, because they have arrived and more are already on the way. Many innocent will perish in senseless attacks on churches and other event gatherings in Russia, Moscow, and even outside of Moscow. And October is feeling very, very strange. October feels very, very much like a strong month of events, conflicts, and attacks. So hopefully September will get a little bit of breathing room. So let us start all now together by holding the whole planet and the whole month of October in love and light. It's all we can do, friends. Just like when the weather comes, all we can do is batten down the hatchets and be prepared, not scared. And weather events are taking over the globe right now, friends. Weather events. Wow, I'm way behind schedule today. Lordy, lordy. Spirit warned of water events. Remember, floods and even a coming tsunami, which is going to be coming soon. Before this year ends, multiple. Spirit said multiple. Floods are getting hit. Floods are hitting globally everywhere still. I had a vision of floods in Tokyo, which we thought was going to be from that typhoon a few weeks ago. And it wasn't. It was right after that typhoon. And it was another storm that whipped in, causing these major floods in Tokyo. The subways were completely flooded out. It was quite crazy for our friends in Tokyo. And Spirit says Tokyo, that's just a taste of what's to come in the near future. You will be battered by 3 back-to-back storms. One is coming soon. Oh, Shanshan. It's Shanshan, I bet you. I bet you that's one of the three. I'll put money on. I'll tell you about Shanshan in a minute, friends. In Alaska, state of emergency after this massive mudslide that occurred. Something Spirit said we would also be witnessing a lot more of in the future would be mudslides and mountains crumbling to the sea. Even Nostradamus said mountains would crumble to the sea. So even here in Arizona, in the Grand Canyon, where one woman was sadly swept away by the waters, monsoon season in Arizona this year is literally no joke because we've had so much rain here, which I'm grateful for because it makes my garden do so good. And the other night, we had a storm here that rolled in, and lordy, friends, this storm rolled in around 12:45, 1 a.m. in the morning. And at one point, because it kept me awake, I even got up and looked out the windows because it literally sounded like a hurricane. And you know, I live in a canyon, so depending on the way the wind's blowing, if the wind's blowing through the canyon, it just, whoa, baby, whoa. It was no joke. I was like, I hope no tornado forms from this. It was literally what I thought. So and the next morning I could see all over my neighborhood signs of flooding. So it was intense. Now the hurricane that just hit Hawaii, and guess what, friends? 2 more hurricanes are heading their way. Hurricane Gilma and Hector. Both 6 vibrational storms when it comes to the realm of numerology. And the storm that they just had that caused a lot of damage in Hawaii and power outages, that was a 6 vibration as well. That's 3 6s in a row, and all these storms were formed are all out at sea right now at the same time. 666, baby. Whoa, that's kind of creepy, don't you think? I say, yes, it's kind of creepy, Spirit Man. My tea's getting cold. I got to get through here. We're going to be late today. Hey, better late than never, right, friends? Better late than never. Oh, so yeah, 3 6 storms in a row, just like the first one that hit Hawaii. So my friends in Hawaii, Waikiki, aloha, friends, aloha, batten down the hatchets. Get ready, because huge floods are coming to the Hawaiian Islands. Huge floods and major surf slamming against your coastlines, causing beach erosion. I also feel that a volcanic blast will soon accompany or follow these storms heading towards Hawaii. Not only that, Spirit says Hawaii also has to be aware of the big waves that will come from the tsunami waves. Luckily for Hawaii, by the time it gets there, it'll be much smaller, but it's definitely going to affect many, many countries. This was even in channel predictions from last year, so I'm sure we're closing in on that. I'm going to say probably December. You know, I thought October and even August, I thought that California may get that big one in August. And they did have some big ones, but just not the big one. So next call, I mean, it's possible in September. Here's another thing. That's what I was going to say earlier when I first started the show. And I had a blank. Is usually during these energy shifts is when we see major events, earthquake activity upticks. But, you know, I noticed in 2024... for the first time, and I've been following these energy shifts and these retrograde cycles for almost 20 years. And it's always been that way. Always major things happen and major quakes and all that. And it hasn't been the case in 2024. When it happens is when we come out of it for some reason, which is really odd. So we come out of it September 11th completely. And September 2nd and September 11th, those 2 dates are very significant. So September could very well be, because there was just a huge earthquake in the Tonga, a 6.9. Tonga, man, that baby's going to rip. That's probably going to be the big rift that goes from the Pacific up to the Indian Ocean that causes land to fold, land to come out. It's in my past visions and predictions. Aside from that, again, our friends in Hawaii, please be safe, be aware, be mindful, and be prepared. The volcanic eruption that I predicted for Iceland just occurred. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I'm telling you, these volcanoes is like Mother Earth's fireworks, and it's just stunning how beautiful it is. This is a new volcano erupting. This isn't the one we saw that I predicted that erupted multiple times. This is a new one. So activity. But remember, Spirit told us to watch out I'm pretty sure Spirit said Iceland, Alaska, and somewhere else, all igniting at the same time, would be the warning of a big quake coming. I'll have to go back to my notes, or maybe somebody will remember and put it in the comments down below. I can't hold all the information that comes through from Spirit. It's just too much. That's why I keep it all on hard drives, friends. That's why. So we see volcanoes near Greece and Italy are beginning to flare up. 24 of them, to be exact, friends. 24 of them. And this is an area on the map when I did map scrying in my weather prediction video. And if you missed my weather prediction video, friends, and many of you did actually, go back and check it out. I'll try to remember to put a link up above some point during this video, or it might have popped up already. I did 2 weather prediction videos this year, but there was one I just did within the past month or in July. And in there, I used map scrying, where I go into my trance state of consciousness, gazing at the map, and I get pulled to different areas. And I was pulled specifically to this area on the globe right near Italy and Greece. So what's in store for them? I have to pull this article up, actually. Be prepared for all outcomes inside saga of supervolcano that is waking up. They always try to make it scarier than it is. I mean, maybe it is scary. Try not to plug in there. Forget Italy's most famous active volcano, Mount Vesuvius. I just had a tongue twist. Mount Vesuvius, which destroyed Pompeii in 79 AD. The most dangerous volcanic threat in Italy right now is one you probably never heard of, Camp Flegrei. Camp Flegrei and the Phlegrean Fields. The unassuming plain, which stretches 200 kilometers under the Bay of Naples in the islands of Capri to the outskirts of the city of Naples, is a giant caldera or depression left by volcanoes some 2 million years ago. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but what I will tell you is that it is now a site of multiple volcanoes. Some of them, again, have been erupting they say, have been active for 39,000 years. Many of them which are underwater. What did I tell you in visions about massive underwater volcanic blasts? I predicted that 2 years ago when we saw that happen. It was, we saw the videos. And then we just also saw it this year off the southern edge of Japan. It formed a little island, actually. But I remember that, and it makes me think of this area here. And it's kind of crazy. More than 500,000 of the locals live in what Italy's Civil Protection Agency has deemed the red zone, an area encompassing 18 towns that are at the highest risk of an event of an eruption. They will have to evacuate, Spirit says, in the future. They will have to evacuate. These are signs of what's ahead between now and 2029. Interesting. I told you 2029. That's a year right there. And remember, Spirit always told me that 2025 to 2032 would be when humanity experiences and witnesses the most challenging events on Earth ever. Now, speaking of our friends in Japan, on the 29th, a violent typhoon, Shanshan, will touch down in Japan. Beware, friends in Japan. Beware, because not only it's the 29th. 29, 9 plus 2 is an 11, is considered an 11-day in numerology. You always break down the numbers to a single digit. So it's also a number 2, of course. But when it comes to the numbers 11, 22, 33, you always look at those numbers first, and then you break it down and read it again. So it's got double meaning. And the 11 days are where bad things happen when it comes to storms. Look at Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Sandy. I mean, I could go down the list. All came in on 11 days. I remember being on social media telling people on Facebook, Sandy's going to turn. They said she was going up the coast, and I'm like, she's going to turn on the 29th. It's going to be bad. And it was really bad. October 29th. I remember that. We had no power. I don't even live in Jersey. I didn't live in Jersey, and we didn't have power for a long time. I remember that. I think I bought my generator back east right after that. Or maybe right before. I think it was right after that. I was like, we're not dealing with this ever again. And it was a huge, giant gas one. I would have brought it with me, but it was just too big. I like my solar one better. So again, our friends in Japan, beware, because that storm, I looked at the route, and it's touching land on the 29th. It will be on land on the 29th. So this Typhoon Shanshan, which is a 2 vibration, not an 11, just a 2 vibration, when you break it down in numerology. Not that 2 storms really mean anything, but that 29-day does. And that's going to bring massive flooding. That's coming right up the south tip, right into Japan. And I think that's going to whip right across the whole entire Japan. So be safe, our Japanese friends. Be safe. So I see that big cloud. I saw this in past visions, but I see a massive volcanic eruption in Japan as well. So I don't know if that's going to come soon, because that reminder just came to me. And remember, in my in my weather predictions, when I did the map scrying, I saw something big happening in that area in a big cloud. I would imagine that's from a volcanic eruption. So friends, again in Japan, be safe. Taiwan, Spirit said to me last night, Taiwan shaking will come again soon. A big shaking in Taiwan will come again soon. Earthquake shaking. And then the number 22 came to me. So I don't know if that's September 22nd, my birthday. I don't know. But that number came to me. That could also, I don't know. But 22 just popped in my brain when that came to me. And earthquake activity, when I looked last night, there were only 78, 4.5 over the past week or higher. 78, that's low. That's typical, actually, pretty typical. But the Tonga just had a huge 6.9 earthquake. Not good. The Tonga, remember that blast last year? And Spirit says the big rift blasts will be heard all over. The one in the Tonga, when that happened, that was heard halfway across the world, they said. The next one will be heard across the world. You'll feel it and hear it everywhere. That'll be interesting. And 5.4 just hit in Portugal. So they were, they were the only 2 big ones that were significant in the past week or so. Past 7 days. So, like I said, it's odd. Usually things are extremely active during these energy shifts, and it's very, very quiet. I say it's definitely the quiet before the storm, because we witnessed that from these shifts earlier this year. It wasn't during the shift. It was right afterwards that big things happen. So, speaking of big things, how about lockdowns and bug alerts? Bug alert, bug alert. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Remember those genetically modified mosquitoes that Gates and all his friends dumped in places like Florida? Remember that a few years ago? They did it a few times. And remember my warning in a few years back when this started. I said that we were going to see major outbreaks from mosquitoes that would allow, these dumps on our towns. They're allowing this to happen, these dumps on our towns of these genetically modified mosquitoes. But now we have all these major outbreaks happening. Things that make you go, Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to get locked in the closet. So mosquitoes are causing the triple E virus, closing parks and nighttime activities in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where they are calling for volunteer lockdowns. I'll tell you what, if that was going around, mosquitoes eat me alive. And that's one thing I don't miss about Pennsylvania, man. Because it was because I had this neighbor who had a swimming pool that they never used. And it was sludge in that swimming pool in a mosquito haven. I asked him for years, offered to help. Hey, let me help you take it down. Put it online, sell it. Someone will come take it down. I offered a million times. Refused to do so because the guy was a donkey. And then when he took it down, years of asking. I'm talking like 7 years of asking. He took it down the day he found out that I was going to move and sell my house. That's what you call a big J-O. Anyway, I couldn't go out to my garden without putting on a hoodie, sweatpants, and everything because they eat me alive, and being next door to a sludge didn't help. Out here in Arizona, we don't really get them, but this year I noticed we have a little bit more than usual because we've been getting a lot of rain, that's why. And this winter, friends, I have no doubt I know here we'll be buried in the snow. I'm not going to be here. Someone else is. I'm leaving. Someone's taking over. I'm not doing it this year. I'm going back east. It'll probably be warmer there anyway. So mosquitoes are causing all these issues. Big, big issues, friends. Big issues. So be safe. Did you know if you put vanilla, I know it sounds crazy, but if you put vanilla extract and mix it with water in a spray bottle, spray it all over yourself, not only will you smell like a cookie, a sweet, delicious vanilla cookie, It actually keeps the mosquitoes away. Try it out sometime. Don't use those toxic sprays, friends. They are toxic. They absorb into your pores, and they're toxic. Or you can use natural oils. There's many other ways. But try the vanilla thing. It actually works. Everybody's got some vanilla in their cabinet. I got good vanilla. Madagascar vanilla. Speaking of, where's my link? I had a link here. I was going to tell you about rocket fuel in our food. So I have to show you this little clip in order to do that. So check it out.
It's hardly a household name, but perchlorate is a chemical that helps rockets reach for the stars and, alarmingly, also our dinner plates.
Perchlorates can enter our food and water via water that's used to irrigate the crops. It can also be contained in the plastic containers that we use to store our food.
How serious is the problem? Consumer Reports' recent tests found perchlorate in 2/3 of food samples, with the highest levels in baby and kids' food, fast food, also in boxed mac and cheese and baby rice cereal, and even in some seemingly healthier options like cucumbers and baby carrots. While no single serving exceeded safety limits, multiple servings throughout the day could add up to concerning levels, especially for kids.
We're concerned because perchlorate can disrupt thyroid function, potentially affecting metabolism in adults and brain development in children.
Consumer Reports reached out to several food companies, including major baby food manufacturers, about these findings. None have provided comments so far about whether they're aware of or are taking steps to minimize it in their products. And if you're wondering whether scientists only just discovered perchlorate as a problem in water and food, think again. It's been a known contaminant for years.
Unfortunately, while our federal regulators have known about this problem for decades, they have been slow to act.
The EPA is now under court order to propose limits on perchlorate in drinking water by November of 2025. But Consumer Reports says there are things you can do now to improve the safety of the food you feed your family.
Parents should be aware of these issues, but should not panic. They can reduce the risk of these chemicals to their children by feeding them a varied and healthy diet.
Also, getting adequate iodine intake can help offset perchlorate's effect.
Notice how it's mainly baby foods and fast foods. You shouldn't be eating that stuff anyway. Along with, I thought was really interesting, boxed macaroni and cheese. That's kind of random, right? Fast foods, we expect, because fast food's toxic. I tell you all the time not to eat that garbage, no matter what it is. I mean, look at, for example, Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. They have more than 60 additive ingredients and chemicals, and 40 of them are all man-made chemicals. Yeah. Look at McDonald's French fries. What they put in them here in the United States is illegal in every other country. We have more, it should just be potatoes. That's it, just potatoes. Why didn't they need to put all, and salt? Why all those ingredients? I like pepper on my fries too, salt and pepper. But I don't go to any fast food restaurants. But boxed mac and cheese, I would imagine that's very, very popular. That's maybe why. I'll tell you what, I can't eat that garbage. It's so gross. I make my own homemade mac and cheese, and oh my Lord, I found a recipe and made my own recipe that's just, I'm hungry. I want some mac and cheese. So here's what I have to say about that, and spirits have to say. Again, all this is coming out, friends, to make people and force people to become more aware of what's been happening for many generations and why diseases are so rampant on our planet and people are obese, and so especially in America. This is why. This has all got to come out before people decide to shift. People got to be sometimes scared into not eating something and forced into eating healthy in order for that to happen. And that's where this is going. Healthy habits, friends. Healthy food. Eat food. I love food, but just eat healthy. Eat natural foods and go to your, good grocer. Get good meats. Grow your own vegetables is the best, but buy some organic vegetables, hoping that they are really organic. Because, you got to eat healthy. Two other things I want to add because I must move on. I am way behind. I saw a vision of, you remember the OJ trials? Now, some of you may not. You may have been too young. But the OJ trials, most of you do, because most of my subscribers and most of our tribe is in the upper age category. We'll just say that. So, yeah, you all remember like I do. The OJ trials. Well, I see a trial of the century. And actually, I want to make that plural. Trials of the century. And people glued to their social media and all to watch these big trials that are coming. Big trials. Some have to do with political. Some have to do with war crimes. That'll be interesting. I wonder who that's going to be. We know who it should be. I'm not even going to say. Just going to keep neutral here. Stay on the neutral side. Another thing I wanted to mention is that falling plane that fell, which was in my predictions, a plane falling from the sky. Did you know that there were 8 doctors aboard that plane who were all about to basically blow the whistle on Mr. Nah? Spell that out, friends. Mr. Nah. N-A. Just spell it out. Mr. Nah. So they were about to blow the whistle on that. And their plane just suddenly fell from the sky. Again, no coincidences, friends. Ever. Other than that, I got to sum it up and wrap it up, friends. I got to wrap it up like a cheesesteak. I can't wait to go back to Pennsylvania and get a cheesesteak from Hoagie Express and go to Pizza Star and get a pizza with extra cheese. I hope you all are watching. I'm coming to your places for food. Can't wait. Can't wait. When? That's a different story, but I'm coming. Don't forget to keep your eyes out for the September forecast predictions and the 2-channeled premiered videos, messages that I'll be putting out between now and Sunday. Also, don't forget to show your love. This takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of love goes into this too. So I feel like I deserve a little love button tap, please. Also, it gets this out to others. Helps the algorithms allow more of this content to show up on your feeds as well. So please do show your love. And if you're new here, and again, you like today's content, please do smash that subscribe, the bell, all, and we welcome you to the tribe, baby. We welcome you. You will not be disappointed here. Hanging and vibing with the tribe and the accurate predictions of prophecy each and every week here. Other than that, friends, I am wrapping it up, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Remember to be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. And most importantly, remember to be bold, baby. Be true. Be kind. Be you. Let your light shine. Let it shine ever so brightly. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love. Much love.